Hi, my name is Nicholas Clark. I recently recorded and published a video for Fatherless Britain in regards to my concerns and the recent spate of stabbings that was taking place in capital streets. I believe one of the fundamental reasons for what's been going on is the lack of fathers as role models for both boys and girls. 10 years ago we had a similar type of thing. The government took action in implementing small actions which made a difference, but since then that's been rolled back, and the lack of fathers as role models, so to speak, that's still a taboo subject, i.e. father's rights, when actually it's the child's rights. So and that confuses me, because we can talk about women's rights and women getting equal pay. Remember Made in Dagenham? Yeah, I'm all for women getting equal pay. If you're doing the same job, you should get the same money. If you're doing the same hours, you should get the same money. In the same breath, we should be able to talk about parental rights. We should be able to talk about fathers having equal parental rights. We should be able to talk about children and children's rights. You know, it's one of the same thing, so to speak. You know, and it shouldn't be a taboo subject. Now, today's video is about legal aid within the family law, but I'm going to kick it off with a question, and that question is Fatherless Britain becoming a reality from the moment a child was conceived? Well, it would seem so, especially from the family courts and the family courts perspective and with their attitudes. You see, when a woman can use what's known as learned, coaxed, descriptive words and phrases with no factual evidence or any incidents or dates for what's known as a non-molestation order. A non-molestation order is will be implemented in regards to stopping a perpetrator going anywhere near, or you're not allowed to do, conduct yourself and do certain things, so to speak. Yeah, so it's a restrictive order. And some of the examples that are of the allegations that these non-molestation orders are granted on. One example: on a said date, an incident happened. I don't remember what exactly happened or what he did, as he was mentally abusing me. That's the sort of basis. That's the sort of thing that's said in these non-molestation orders. Yeah. So they don't actually remember what actually took place, but yet they remember the date. That doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. At that point, Daddy's not allowed to see the children anymore, because the court said so, because of what Mummy just said. Yeah. Mummy can now manipulate and twist the child's mind to saying things like, "I'm not sure if I want to see Daddy anymore." Well, it then goes on. See, the problem is, I believe that it goes on for so long, going through the court services as well, that it often becomes too long. They actually turn around, the court turns around and says it's been too long now because of the misinformation hasn't been done or whatever, so the postponements, etc. And then and the judges know that this goes on. They know that these coaxed behaviours are happening. They know that it's happening. The reason why they know is because they were lawyers in their career. That's how they became judges. It's part of their career path, so to speak. Yeah. So they know that the clients are coaxed. They know that there's going to be adjournment in hearings and so forth, and it just going on, getting dragged on, so to speak, and it's an issue, because the children being manipulated, their minds are being twisted, so to speak. Yeah. And these children end up growing up with, shall we say, narcissistic type attitudes and behaviours. Yeah. It's child abuse. There's no two ways about it, and it's actually documented. It's actually proven to be child abuse, and the judges allow this to happen. An interesting fact leading up to what is fast becoming Fatherless Britain. Now this is a bit of a mouthful, so you'll have to bear with me. Legal aid changed. The Legal Aid Sentencing and Punishment Offenders Act of 2012 was implemented in 2013, and hundreds of thousands of people were suddenly found no longer entitled to free legal aid. A key exception to this was women who claimed for domestic abuse, which leads up to the applications of these non-molestation orders. It's what funds the non-molestation orders. It's what kicks it into place, so to speak. Now, there's many instances that this is justified. There's women out there that do get abused. That they are physically and mentally being abused. So, we need to protect these women, and it works both ways. It works both ways. So there's a problem through the way these things are granted and given out like sweeties, and in many instances, a parent's rights are violated with no substance. So, moving on. In the following year, following the introduction of the Legal Aid Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Act 2012, known as LASPOS, the applications for legal aid boomed by 300%. Rocketed by 300%. Prior to LASPO, the year before, the legal aid split was roughly 40% men and 60% women. Post-LAPSO, it is now 15% men versus 85% women. LASPO is entirely the cause of this change. There are two key factors to getting legal aid. One is the financial threshold, i.e. your earnings, or in receipt of the appropriate qualifying benefits. And the second is domestic violence or abuse backed up by written evidence via a doctor or police records. Without these two key areas, it's not possible to get legal aid. But there's a problem, and the problem is it's well documented that men feel embarrassed and ashamed to talk about such issues. She may have dislocated or broken his finger, or stabbed him in the leg. When he goes to the hospital, he feels embarrassed to say, my wife done that to me, or my girlfriend done that to me. Or she might even be in the room with him where he's receiving treatment. So he can't say anything because she's there, for fear of what's going to happen afterwards. When it goes to the police, he may fear of saying anything to the police for the fact that one, he might not be believed, and two, she may run off with the kids, and the agencies, he believes that the agencies will help her, which is often the case, without any substance. Problem is, there are genuine women out there that are being abused, both physically and mentally. Another problem, when such issues come to light with the said authorities and agencies, they tend to airbrush it under the carpet when it comes to men. If you don't qualify for legal aid, there are agencies where you can get what's known as free civil legal advice. The criteria to qualify for free civil legal advice in family law is 1. Financial threshold, i.e. earnings or in receipt of the qualifying benefits, and 2. Domestic violence or abuse backed up by a written letter of some sorts from either a doctor or the police or police records. Yes, that's right. It's exactly the same as a qualifying criteria to get legal aid. So if you don't qualify for legal aid, you're not going to get free civil legal advice. And I don't know about you, but going into a courtroom up against a trained legal solicitor, yeah, lawyer, so to speak, it's quite a daunting effect, a daunting, thing, so to speak, yeah. And if you qualify for free civil legal advice, why would you not take free legal aid representation in the court, whereby your duty now just becomes being the witness as opposed to quoting laws and what have you, what goes with being a lawyer or a solicitor. Believe it or not, this is funded by the government. I'll leave the link there. They say the family courts and the agencies are getting better. Really? Well, the fact that the schools are, i.e. the head teachers, are still adding things into the equation, not giving all of the facts, in order to sway things in direction towards mum, and the police and the social services are doing exactly the same. This behaviour, I believe, is known as the propagation of misinformation. And it's plain and simple, it's fraud. If me and you went into a bank and we propagated misinformation in order to get a loan, we'd be locked up for fraud. But these are agents of the agencies. What's the difference? So, from the very outset, they're setting Dad up to fail by making false statements in meetings, such as core meetings, via the police and the teachers and the social services, where he doesn't get the opportunity to address these false allegations, so therefore it gets minuted. So therefore it gets used later on, usually to help mum, because it's written there in the documents, it's written there in the minutes. It was said that Dad was violent, but he wasn't given the opportunity to address it appropriately. Whereas if he'd had legal aid or a father social worker or some sort of advocate, they could have told him, Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith has something to say about that. They would have to give him the moment to address it. And then that person can then tell him and say, I'd like that to be removed. That mark to be removed from the minutes, please. But that's not done. So therefore it gets left in the minutes, and then it goes to court, and the outcome is what the outcome is. So, they say it's getting better. I beg to differ. Nothing's changing. So our streets are we're becoming fearful of walking the streets. Our kids are becoming fearful of walking the streets. We're fearful of allowing our children to walk the streets for many different reasons. But one of the major contributing factors is the lack of fathers as role models, and that's throughout all cultures. And the fact that it's a taboo subject and you're not allowed to talk about it. If we're going to claim back our streets, if we're going to stop the stabbings, let's not forget, young girls find themselves in this as well. And when young girls, if someone as young as 12, 13 and 14, when they find themselves in wanting to be part of the gang, they then become vulnerable to things like sexual abuse from both men and boys. it's a really frightening thing. I think we really all need to come together on this. I genuinely feel that there are remedies out there, but it can't be implemented via one individual or one group, so to speak. I think we all need to come together. So for future updates of factual information, please like all the links, follow all the links, Fatherless Britain, and subscribe to the blog fatherlessbritain.uk, and by doing so we can all come together. Yeah, there are remedies there, we can come together, but we need to do it as a community. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch. On that note, I'm going to wish you peace, love and light. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Look for the next video. It's a real good one, trust me. Thanks very much. Bye for now.